At the beginning of 2020, I dove deep into the crazy world of TikTok. And now at the end of 2019 and beginning of 2020, TikTok was really starting to get a lot of attention in the media. It was becoming a household term. So many people were downloading this application. It was blowing up like crazy, but it was still on a very specific cusp. It was interesting because TikTok was finally starting to mature. It was starting to leave its original target market. It was starting to outgrow its niche of just dance and lip syncing content creators and consumers, and it was starting to gain traction in other industries. Curiously enough, even to this day, it's shifting more and more across to an entertainment app, sure, but also an educational platform where people share informative information relative to their individual skill set. And it was so much so on the cusp when I dove in that people, even in my inner circle, thought I was completely off my rocker. They were like, Ben, we know you're crazy. We already know that, but what the heck are you doing now? This is a dancing and singing app, and A, your dancing and singing skills are horrific. B, what makes you think people on that app that are there for dancing and singing are going to want to consume your fitness content? C, even if they do, how many of those individuals are actually your target market? And now the reality was, I didn't really have answers to any of those, except for the fact that I could confirm I was definitely a little bit crazy. But in this video today, what I want to do is tell you exactly what my mindset was going into that, what my strategy was going into this, and how it's kind of unfolded for me thus far. So before we get into that specifically, I want to share with you a few stats. Now, it's important to clarify that I don't make fancy content. I don't have professional editors. I don't have a social media team. I literally straight shoot film off my phone, and I trim any excess content that I don't need, or I reshoot the content if I did a horrific job of trying to articulate my thoughts. And then I might throw a few filters and edits on depending on what the TikTok trend might be. But generally speaking, it's short and sweet. It's not a huge production contest going on here. It's about being authentic. Yet even someone as technologically simple as I am, in pulling stats like this, 7-day view average, 540. 1,000, sorry. 28-day view average, 1.88 million. Give or take a few thousand or a few hundred on there. My followers, 14,700. Not too shabby. And the reason I share this with you is because this reach is organic. It's organic, and what's ridiculous about this is I've been on Instagram for a long time and I'm barely passing 1,200 followers, and I'm lucky if I get a video that gets 100 or 120 views. And I'm sure this is relatable because I know so many professionals out there who are working on their social media presence and they get almost no traction. But does that mean you should then go post your content on an application that is primarily known for dancing and lip syncing? Maybe. Maybe that's exactly what you should be doing. So this is why I made that decision. I don't really need the whiteboard anymore, so we'll get rid of the marker. What I noticed with the app was it was starting to mature. Every app matures eventually. Most apps, if we look at them, start out generally catering to a younger clientele and oftentimes a relatively immature content base. But then over time, that app matures. Just look at the people that hang out the most often on Facebook now. It's definitely not who was there originally. Now, understanding as much, what I was noticing in the maturation phase was the reality that the content that was being consumed was shifting. It wasn't all just dance and singing. There was a lot of other stuff. It just, 80% of the other topics only fill 5 or 10% of the content being produced. But I thought, hey, it's still being produced, it's still getting attention, and because there's so little of it, it's not very loud. Whereas, say for example, you're a fitness professional just as I am, go ahead and shout from the rooftops on Instagram. You're not going to be heard by many people because it's so loud, it's so saturated. So I figured, you know what? Well, everybody is busy hunting in the red ocean where there's blood and carcasses and what may be. I'm going to the blue ocean where nobody's hunting right now, or very few people are hunting. And what I did was I went that way as well, because when an app is starting out and it really hits that momentum phase, which generally starts to happen, and now don't get me wrong, I'm not a social media expert, but from what I've read and tried to understand, is that at some point in the growth phase, the amount of consumers skyrockets much greater than the amount of producers. And so it's kind of like a supply and demand thing to consider, in the sense that there's so many people ready to consume content, but there's not enough people making enough content for all of their consumption. So what the app does is, even though its main goal is to push content to those consumers that they want to consume that matches their interest, at the same time they don't want them to leave because there's nothing new. So your content is much more likely to get boosted and pushed through to them based off their algorithms, to ensure that they're checking to see if maybe that person would also be interested in this new type of content that's showing up. And so this is why during that phase, so many TikTokers, if you will, were getting massive traction for seemingly nothing in particular. They didn't do anything all that impressive or crazy. They just posted a video. A simple 60-second video. It wasn't edited with a professional team. It wasn't well thought out in a lot of cases. They just shared it and it went viral. Well, the key in my mind is not necessarily to be the best on the app at any given thing, but it is to gather attention when it's A, free or inexpensive, and B, when you can get a lot of it quickly. And this, as anyone watching this will confirm, is definitely a lot of attention, and I can confirm that it's free, and that is incredible. Because even though this app might not be here forever, which is sometimes the case, even if 10% of the people following me right now, let alone what it's going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now, were to follow me to another platform, be it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or maybe a future platform that we're not really sure is going to blow up as of now, that's still more people that hadn't been watching me before. That's going to widen my base of support. That's going to allow me to reach more people starting out on this new application, or it's going to allow me to reach more people on a platform that I've built a foundation on already, that is able to outsurvive the other app with which I was getting all this incredible traction. So it's kind of like adding pieces to your foundation, widening your base, and over time your brand is very important, continues to grow and develop that forward momentum. The crazy part is that this is already monetizable. This is already a way for me to generate new revenue, with which I have been able to generate new revenue as of current. And that opportunity is only going to grow, because a lot of people seem to forget that business is, in a sense, a contact sport. Being that the more contacts you make, the more business you'll be able to do. Consider, as a professional, regardless of what service sector you might be in, regardless of what product you might sell, even if the smallest fraction of percent of people from this 28-day average were interested in your product or service, imagine how many more people you would be able to serve. Imagine how many more people you would be able to add value to the lives of, which with the product that you offer. Imagine what the heck that would do for your bottom line. The opportunities are endless. Don't sleep on those opportunities, and don't sit on the sidelines and think to yourself, oh yeah, well, if it takes off, I'll consider it. No, you gotta take advantage of the opportunity of a lifetime, in the lifetime of an opportunity. And that's exactly what I did when people thought I was crazy, when they thought that I was off my rocker, when they thought it was a waste of time. I said, sure, it might be, but it's also not costing me anything. It might just be a golden opportunity, which it is very quickly turning out to be, because this number is growing rapidly every day. In fact, this number here, less than 12 days ago, was a tenth of what it currently is. And already, some of this attention is starting to slowly but surely trickle across to my other social media platforms, which is encouraging, to say the least. So instead of sitting on the sidelines wondering what if, potentially being filled with regret if one of my peers had jumped in there and said, go for it, and they had seen incredible results, and I had sat there speculating and criticizing the fact that, why would you do that? That's crazy, that's a waste of time. I want to be in the arena. I want to be scraping my elbows. I want to bruise my knees. I want to bang up my pride a little bit. I want to get out there. I want to try. Because at the end of the day, you never know. And to be completely honest, one of the most selfish things you could ever do is play small relative to your potential. If you happen to have any specific questions regarding business, lifestyle, if you want to learn more about my TikTok strategy, as haphazard as it may be, let me know what you'd like to hear more about. Shoot me a DM, drop me a comment, and I'll be sure to cover it in an upcoming post.